Hey everyone, you're tuning into some bonus content and a little teaser to my full episode of Runners Rate the Bars with Nick Coury and James Bonnett. Awesome, talented runners. We got the American record holder on the track for 24 hours, a member of the Aravaipa racing team. James Bonnett, former pro athlete for Adidas, and incredible coach. We're going to have them, while we sip some delicious wine, we're going to have them settle some of the hottest debates in the running world and perhaps just the world in general. So I wanted to make a nod here. With some effort, we opened up this bottle of Zinfandel. It's from Wilson Winery in Healdsburg, in Lake Sonoma, wine country. And I was lucky enough this past fall in 2021 to win the inaugural Lake Sonoma 100K, thanks in part to your coaching and wisdom. And
you're welcome.
Appreciate it. So
You do all the work.
I mean, I put in the work, but yeah, I got to have that plan. As you know, it's so essential. Get the mic up there for the audio. Mostly beer folks here, but let's see what we think.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Do you taste all those notes?
Sweet, like you're saying. What notes?
I don't know. That's
Tastes
what everyone always says, though.
Tastes like church wine to me, but like a good church wine.
That's sweet.
Yeah, definitely smooth.
How about this? Rating of out of 5 wine glass emojis. I'll go 3, 2, 1, and then you put up the number of fingers for the wine glass.
I know
Ready?
my rating.
3, 2, 1. 4?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
a
getting the
snob.
4. See, I usually get Trader Joe's wine if I do get wine, so I feel like I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just cheap. So this tastes really smooth to me.
Yeah, that's like I can imagine there's a better wine
Oh,
exists.
for sure.
But it tastes good to me.
Shout out Wilson Winery. So as we sip the wine, I would love to hear your thoughts on these hot debates in the running world. Do you think you guys can have a civil debate? Do you get in arguments at all as coach and athlete?
Not too much. More like constructive.
We go back and forth now and again, though.
Yeah, it's just constructive.
We definitely disagree, but we work well together. So we'll see if that breaks down here or not.
All right. Let's just, without further ado, let's jump into it. First question. I think this is appropriate. Is running negative splits always the best approach in a race?
I would say 95% of the time, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say usually. I think there's a few runners. I think it's more common a runner can't handle it than the negative split itself was a bad idea. Like, I think anyone who can successfully execute it and figure out how to do it right, it's going to help your race. It's a challenge to really do it right.
Yeah, sure. Especially as the distances get further. There's a lot more factors that come into it. So that's where a lot of people just struggle with it because the distance, there's a lot more variations that could happen within it, but definitely like easy to achieve on like marathon and below. The only time it's not is typically in the very, very short distances.
The very short, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe like
100, 200, 400.
I knew there'd be some common ground there. You wrote a blog about negative splitting, right? And that was your strategy for...
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to write the book
Little
right
biased.
now for long ultras on it.
Literally write a book? Do you think
I don't know if I would literally write a book. That
But-
sounds like a lot of effort, but
True. At least.
yeah, I don't know of anyone who's tried to do it as methodically as I have. So hopefully I figure out how to do it so that more people can do it in my wake.
All right, Nick, next question. This one's gonna... I'm interested to see what you have to say about this because you're a software engineer. Is it pronounced data or data? I'll let you start it.
I say both, depending on how I'm feeling that day. That way I can equally infuriate everyone.
Like when you say data, I'm like, okay. When you say data, I'm like, okay.
Is it Prescott?
No, that's Prescott.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Oh,
For
it's
sure
Prescott.
Yeah.
Yay or nay to running with music or listening to a podcast while running?
Depends on the day. I would say I've gone through lots of phases of listening to music the whole time. Like, I love music. Music is like a huge part of my life, but at the same time, it's sometimes better to just be in the moment and what you need to be focusing on at the time. It really, I think it just really depends on where you are mentally.
I used to be so against it personally. Like, I didn't have a problem with other people doing it, but I'd try it and I just never liked it. But like the longer I've run, the more I just get bored, especially if I'm grinding out a lot of like boring flat miles. So I do a lot of podcasts and audiobooks like day to day. But at the same time, like I kind of agree with James. Like if that's all you do, like I find myself doing too much of it, and then I realize my running's actually declining because you forget to like stop and enjoy the run itself, and you just get too like mechanical about it, and you just get in this rut of just grinding out like low quality miles. So I think the right doing it if it makes running easier normally, but then making sure you take it out here and there a couple times a week.
Yeah, I'm okay with it in training, but I don't know about you. I personally would never do it. Even during these long races, I've been surprised how engaged I can stay mentally. You wouldn't do it in a race situation?
I never do, and I prepped a bunch of music thinking I would really want it at the end of Desert Solstice, like trying to get like if I was anywhere near the record, like I thought it would suck, and I'd really want like adrenaline pumping music, and I never grabbed it.
Didn't touch it. No.
If you could only run in one shoe for, let's say, all situations, terrain, what would it be?
Adios.
Yeah, like it would have been the old like
Training racing.
Pre-boost Adi Zero,
Same
Adios
answer?
2.
Oh yeah.
Like I've
Pre-boost.
run. I mean, that shoe set the world record at the
Cream.
marathon.
Yeah.
I've done my best at Hard Rock in that shoe.
I've set my fastest
have
100
Adidas
mile
on right
in that
now?
Yeah,
Put the shoe up?
it doesn't exist anymore.
I've got
Okay.
a fresh one, never worn in my closet
They
right
don't
now.
make them.
Oh, they haven't made it for almost 10 years
Just like
now.
that. Okay.
Should I pull it out?
So I'm searching for my next version of that.
Hang on to it. Yeah.
Oh, I've got one. I've got like 3 stored away.
Yeah, and my problem is I wear shoes that were never designed for the trail, and I try to go super aggressive on the trail with them. I'm currently trying to make this new shoe that would do everything a Skechers, which is bizarre to me, and it's probably not going to play out, but I'm going to see how far I can go with it.
Yeah, I'd say that's the next closest thing. Yeah, for me, the Adidas Adios was definitely like PR'd my 100. I had probably all my best performances in it. Ones in granite, like yeah, technical crazy terrain. It had like these little grippies on the bottom that would actually work really well.
I want those on
Wow.
all of my shoes because they handle like snow and ice so well.
Yeah, it was crazy. It works so good on everything, and it has Continental rubber, which is just so tacky. Yeah, I would say that was like my number one shoe.
Interesting.
Brooks,
Yeah.
Green Silence, probably my next, and then this Skechers. Was it Razor Elite? What's it called?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Razor Release, the one I'm trying to make work.
That's up for debate.
Yeah,
Not
we're
how good that is.
uncertain so far. I've been getting desperate. I was trying to make the Vaporflies work for everything because they work so well on the road. I turned a pair into a trail pair, shoe glued the whole bottom to hold it together because the thing chunks apart if
That's
you don't.
true.
And it starts feeling really terrible until you run enough miles that it shatters the carbon fiber plate, and then it gets real nice and flexible.
Yeah, but then the carbon fiber
do not
plate,
recommend it.
The carbon fiber plate's going to
Wow.
stab your foot.
That's got to be one of my favorite shoes all around, just the Vaporfly, how it feels. But you're right. When it comes to the trails, it gets eaten up.
You can't
It's
use
the greatest. I would say it's the greatest road shoe of all time.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, unless you're talking like Alpha Flies, maybe, but they're way heavier. But like one day, as we get more and more variety in these super shoes, one will come out that just happens to work on trails, and I'm just waiting for that day. Because all the current ones, they're so high, and then those plates are so stiff that you lose feeling for the trail and like roll ankles and stuff that they just don't work today. But yeah, you're already starting to see like lower profile super shoes coming out, companies playing with the pattern because they can bet on more than one because people are buying them. So I'm hopeful in the next couple of years something comes out that works on the trails, is super light, super responsive, has that same road feel, but also isn't like overbuilt. Because I think a lot of the efforts for super shoes on the trail are just so heavy because they have to do so much different. Like other people like grip. I get it. They live in places where you need it. You don't need that in Arizona. It's dry. Like, you don't need much.
Rock.
Yeah, nothing slick
So
ever.
I'd rather just have something insanely light.
Yeah, well, the same thing though. Like, I would say the only time those type of shoes typically don't work is on snow and ice, typically. But everything else, it works great. People say like, oh, what about for like the mud? A lot of time those deep lug shoes end up just being like heavy as hell because they like so much mud cake to them. And then you got a shoe that has like almost very minimal traction. It just flies right off of it.
I guess, where you live and could influence your answer. So I think we're pretty spoiled here in Arizona.
I mean, I've raced Hard Rock and Convaras. Like,
I was about to say, yeah, my answer personally would be the Saucony Convaras, but like the previous models that we were talking about. Like the newer ones they're not as good as they used to be. Figured there'd be a lot to discuss here. I think you guys both agreed. I think you also said Adidas because you used to run for them.
No, honestly, that's like literally for me. That's like goat shoe.
Okay.
Even
Yeah,
The goat
like
shoe.
even when Hal Corner was racing for the North Face, he wore that shoe at Hard Rock.
He
and
ran
got
Hard Rock in that shoe as well.
That's what he ran Hard Rock
That
in.
shoe
and
has
got
done a
his
lot.
Jim wore them for his first Western. That's a good shoe, man.
Adidas. Let's make a comeback. Here we go.
Nick's taking sponsorships.
Yeah, you're no deal yet. We have not had any calories or
Just got done running.
food.
I had a
protein
small
at all.
bag of chips.
I didn't have anything.
It's pretty solid.
I have had 2 donuts today.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, yeah. Why don't we have donuts here?
They're in the house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're not training right now, technically.
Do you think a pro runner in this day and age, do they have to have a social media presence to, fulfill their contract and obligations? I thought this was interesting too, because you're kind of famously not very
Yeah.
low profile on social media.
Yeah, I think it can't hurt. I think this day it's just so accepted and it's like part of the world. It's like I'm an outlier now, like of being someone who doesn't really do much social media. I'm very like for me like that would just be a huge distraction in my life and it would make me much more unproductive. But I can see the benefit why most like companies would prefer to have someone who has social media, and that's because they're talking about the shoe more and it gets out there more, it sells their brand more. Understandable, like, but at the same time I don't think that we should have social media up to a point. You should require people to have social media up to a point where it's sacrificing performance. I really think we should still allow, especially just like the top athletes, to like they don't have to have it if they don't want to, and still be able to make an affordable living and be sponsored and have all that. So.
Yeah, like I think you're gonna struggle to make a living just on running at this point without social media. Like you can get stuff, but you're gonna get a whole lot less. I think the key is really like the runners who are going to go pro and do the best are the ones that know like the right place in that it fits in their whole life. If you're getting sucked up into the part of social media that gives it a stigma, then it's probably derailing your training and you're getting absorbed in the likes and you're getting absorbed in making too much content and it's taking away from the rest of your life, and that's also going to take away from your running.
Yeah.
Versus like I think there's a side of social media that's the part that pulls a lot of us to like want to be a part of it, which is the same thing as before social media existed, which is like you're connecting with people, you're like helping to inspire, you're like helping younger runners to learn what's out there and want to go do stuff, you're like communicating and connecting with a lot of older runners. Like I'm not big on social media, but I still like popping in here and there because I get to connect with people that I otherwise see like once a year. And so I think there's a healthy side, there's an unhealthy side, and the runners who are going to both do it and still perform well over years bring that healthy part in and not the other part.
True.
Do top athletes have to have a social media? Is that the question? Okay,
Yeah.
so I will say if there are companies that want to invest in top athletes, I think they should put aside a little bit of a budget. So maybe there's like a social media manager on that athlete.
Yeah, I was kind of getting at that. I was about to say, let's say you don't have a account at all on Instagram. They can make one. The company can make one. I think you have to have something out there. So
Yeah.
if you're high profile and finishing at a race, that's one of
should
the
be-
first places people look. They type your name in
Yep.
on social media because they might want to learn more about you. Maybe
Yeah.
the company does it all and it's only race photos, but I think they got to have something.
Yeah, they got to have something. I
know.
think the biggest hits come from more genuine type of posts, but I will say like the brand should take some initiative in
Yeah,
it.
I think that would
and responsibility in it. That's
be
just
nice. There's
personal.
less put on the runner. So.
Yeah.
Let's keep it rolling.
Okay.
Headed into a race, better to be overtrained or undertrained?
Undertrained.
Yeah, undertrained all day.
So much agreement. Yeah.
Yep.
You want to touch on that briefly?
Yeah, it's undertrained and healthy over overtrained, and I mean overtrained itself is a problem. You don't even have to be injured. If you're just overtrained, overcooked, like you're probably going to fall apart sometime before the end of the race and probably pretty big. So I'd rather be undertrained, healthy, and have a shot at just running a steady day.
Nailed it.
There we go. Hop into that 100-mile. You're fine. Haven't been training?
I've done 100 off 3 weeks of training.
3 weeks.
Yeah, it means
Which
you're
one?
gonna
Western
walk it
States.
in.
Western States.
Took me 27 hours, but
Yeah,
hey,
you're gonna walk it in rather than dropping at mile 60.
Or doing damage that makes you sit out longer for running.
yeah.
We'll mix it up a little bit. You have kids. You actually have a fourth kid on the way. Do you think as they grow older, should kids still be taught cursive writing in school?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, my son.
Obviously, you got to have the signature, but beyond that,
Yeah, I think it's great. Penmanship's just something nice to have. I don't think we should lose that art.
got a computer guy over here.
Yeah, no, I don't care.
You
Yeah.
don't care, yeah.
Really?
I never use cursive. Even my signature is not really cursive anymore. It's just scribbling.
As a trail runner, talking trails, not necessarily just ultras, do you need to have workouts that are on the road or track to excel
In
on
what?
the trail scene? Do you need to do like speed workouts on the road or track,
I
or do
think
you
it-
keep it all trail?
I think it can help being efficient in leg turnover. Downhills can really help. Long, flatter sections of trail, it'll really help. I don't think it's absolutely 100% necessary. If you enjoy strictly trail running and that's all you want to do, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
And you'll get really good at it, but you'll probably be really efficient in some areas.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like, you could get really, really good without doing any flat work. But also, I would rather do the flat work because I think you can lower your overall risk. It's like similar to going to the gym. Like, you're working on certain fundamentals to isolate things. And like trail running, especially some of the stuff where you're pushing yourself to get really crazy fit to race, it can be dangerous. Like, anything from like rolling an ankle to like tripping
Right.
and smashing your bones against rocks. Like, I worry about that when you push really hard on trails to simulate that turnover, to get the technique down. Like, you do need some of it, but too much of it might just be risk you don't need.
Mhm.
Whereas you hop on the track, like, what are you going to do on the track other than like you could still pull muscles or something, but you're
You-
not going to have the treachery of a
Gotta
trail.
watch out for that rail.
And so you can still work on the turnover, you can still work on the power, you can still work on these other things in kind of a way that isolates each aspect. And then when you do work on the trail, like, you're that much more prepared,
Yeah,
and then you don't have to spend as much time on the trail.
And the
itself.
nice thing on the coaching side of things is you can get a much more accurate measurement on tracks and roads than you on someone's fitness overall. On some things,
Yeah, standardized, you can always compare.
you can really go back and compare things. So, but no harm. There's no harm on a track really, other than maybe the rail. Watch out for the rail.
Although Tuesday night track workouts air fight, but I did pull my groin one time. I think you might have been coaching me at the time. I had this groin injury
Yep,
for
I
like
remember.
at least almost a year because we did like hundreds in the middle of a workout.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I believe the phrase is speed kills. Like, speed work is something that is one of the most dangerous and scary parts for me of a training cycle. Like, when you hit there, it's fun to be able to be capable of that. But I've hit plenty of training cycles where that was the first thing cut because, yeah, it's a huge amount of load and a huge amount of risk just to push yourself that hard.
That
during
was last
training
year.
runs.
Last year we cut speed.
How would this? Is there an age? I guess you can tell me the age, or tell me, is there an age where you are too young to do ultras?
This is like a trap question. No.
From the guy who was the youngest kid ever to run 100 miles.
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
7 years old, ultras.
I was 9 when I did my first.
Okay. I know, I'm saying you did 9, so maybe 9's the cutoff. Is 7 too young? I don't think there's...
I think it really depends on each person. Like, I don't think my son Zane, he's 7 right now. He definitely wouldn't be good to go do an ultra right now. I don't know what the cutoff would be. Obviously, I was doing ultras at 9, and I was fine. I was doing really well.
yeah.
I've
So you got your start.
I've just literally had my knees checked out, perfect spacing, no issues. All I heard my entire life: your knees are gonna be racked. Your knees are gonna be racked. You're gonna be trashed. You're gonna have bad knees, bad hips. Everything's fine. No issues other being lazy issues nowadays. And then let's see, like there's Sebastian right now. He's out doing. He's like 12
I've
years
met
old.
him before.
Yeah, he's doing it, and he's super fast too, and he does really good. I coach an athlete named Hannah, and she's been doing ultras since she's 14 or so, and yeah, they grow up totally fine, totally healthy. I mean, I think as human beings, we were meant to move and move along far distances.
Yeah, there's too young. If I have a kid, I'm not going to let them try to run an ultra at 2 years old.
There you go. That's what I do. 2 is the age.
No, I think it's a lot more important to put the whole context into perspective.
Yeah.
Hey,
Meaning-
if we do
meaning, like-
scale, if we go by scale, is like a mile an ultra
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
2-year-old.
True.
But there are, teenagers who have done ultras in a way that are reasonable and like healthy enough, you know, like I like to say that like running 100 miles is never physically healthy. But the healthy parts are, you know, the mental, spiritual side, and the training can be. And so it's not only how you approach it, but also understanding the risk. Like it's way easier for a 9-year-old or a teenager to mess themselves up, probably for longer term, trying to do an ultra the wrong way than someone who's 30 or 40. Mm-hmm. But I've also seen 30 or 40-year-olds have like a 2 or 3 year ultra career because they also can do it wrong. Like you're going to be more robust, and so you want to put that in context. Like you should never be like a kid shouldn't be doing an ultra because they feel pressured in any way. No. But if the kid's excited about it and they also like have an understanding, especially with their parents, that like they might need to drop at any point in it because something's wrong. It's like those are the parameters that make it healthy or unhealthy. It's not so much that there is an age where it's healthy or unhealthy. It's just knowing the earlier you go, the more you have to be really careful about those things.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that is huge, and no pressure at all on anyone who's doing it. So
I actually talked to your dad about this. You remember Ultralist?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm still on the Ultralist.
I didn't know. I honestly didn't know.
Who's on that anymore?
I guess it's like I remember checking Let's Run message boards. I guess it sounds kind of like that.
It's like that. Yeah.
He said he was getting some flack from different runners who'd see you at events, and they'd call it, quote, child abuse.
Yeah, we got a lot of flack. We've had a lot. Yeah, I had a lot of flack like going up. We got the message boards. We got personal mail. We got emails. We got yelled at races. I've been at a race where someone has tried to stop me when I was a teenager, and they said that I couldn't go any further. Another like person who was out running, and they thought that they were asking all sorts of questions like, "Is your dad making you do this?" Like what? And then they got real upset about it.
Did you pass the test with the answers, or you just kept going? What did you do, like duck and dive?
I just kept going. Yeah, I just kept going.
Yeah, I think I saw way worse pressure in like my high school running career. You know, cross country and track, and like parents out yelling at their kids to run faster, and coaches pressuring them. And there's thousands of kids in every state that are doing that.
Yeah, think of like football culture. There's a lot more cultures that are like way more worse than like a running culture, and way more abusive on the body. I don't know how slamming heads into each other is considered to be healthier than going to run out in the mountains.
Counterpoint.
Yeah, like running ultras is actually fairly self-correcting. Like if your body can't handle it, you mostly just slow down and walk.
But I do love football.
Football.
Yeah.
Final question to bring it home for Settle It. Who right now would win in a beer mile?
Nick.
Oh, you mean easily. So easy.
Too easy. He agreed.
You got a sub 6?
Yeah, I've done 5:40 something. Yeah, even with my limp right now, I would destroy you.
Yeah.
Even at your best? Have you faced off? You faced off, right?
Oh, we faced off a few times. Yeah. So I don't know if you've met his dad, Peter Coury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know Peter.
That man, I've tried to drink him down a few times. I'll tell you what.
He can put him back.
And he will like walk the entire thing, and he'll still do like under 15 minutes. My 2 favorite beer milers.
Your wife?
My wife and Jim Walmsley. Yeah. I think it took Jim, I don't know how many, to break 20 minutes. That was like the one time that like most runners could beat Jim in a race is at a beer mile.
I've done a few, but I don't think I'll ever do another one again. It's not fun. The gut.
No one enjoys a beer mile during the beer mile. It's after
it's
that's
after
the awesome
when
part.
The buzz hits. Wow.
No, it's not for me, because I get probably within 2 minutes of finishing, I am hurling it all out.
Oh, and yeah. You got to keep it down.
That is sad, but dude, that is kind of a little bit satisfying. Have you ever had those pukes?
The puke is satisfying, and like you avoid the hangover or whatever, but you don't get like the 2 to 3 hours of just awesome fun with everyone else who did it.
That's true.
The only beer mile I've DNF'd was my bachelor party, where my childhood friends decided to handicap me by making me do 24-ounce Tallboy PBRs.
Yeah, that was good.
And I almost made it through the 3rd beer, and then I couldn't. I was dry heaving. I didn't even have to throw up. It was just so nauseous from that much PBR that my body was just done, and I couldn't go on.
Well, that concludes this round of Settle It. I'd say you agreed on most of them, but
yeah, we're pretty well on the same page. I guess he's a good coach for me.
You kept it civil, guys.